Well, let's start putting this together. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to punch all these window openings out because I'm going to paint it. I've got two shades of gray here. I've got a lighter gray and a darker gray. Probably shoot it first with the light gray and then kind of dust it a little bit with with a little darker gray to give it a little weathered look. The back side of it, let's see the front. I don't know if you can pick up the color here, but the walls here, the outside walls are kind of a cream colored, almost a light yellow, and the inside is a white. So I'll go with the darker gray on the inside, and then do a combination. Just randomly shoot it with both of them on the outside to give it that kind of weathered look. So we'll get that painted and then just see where we stand. Oh, and before we go paint these, give you some kind of idea about what our parts are here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, got 4 walls, and then 2 end pieces. So okay, well, my walls are out drying from being painted. I came in and made the base in accordance with the directions here, and I initially thought they were a little bit complicated, but if you slow down and take your time and read them, they're fairly self-explanatory, and it's not that big a deal. So it just takes some accurate measuring. But if you can see let me get this here. If you can see the baseboard here, this is going to be this will be the front of the building. All right. These lines down here on the side will be the building sit down on top of this. So you measure 3 inches back, and all this is on the instructions, so I won't go into a whole lot of detail. But I'm going to build this with the pits. You have 2 options here. You can just build it flat with just track running in there without it, or you can build it with a pit and have stairs going down, and a little bit more realistic, a little bit more prototypical. So I'm going to give it, since I got time to do it, I'm going to try to put me the pit in here. This comes 3 inches back from the front. This will be the front of the building, and then I'm going to cut this out right here. This square out, and then this square out right here, and that will give me my pit. Now, the directions, if you're interested, what it'll have you do, it'll give you the measurements to make, but you've got to measure, give you a little bit of room on either side of your building here, in the front and the back, and want you a little bit more room in the front than there is at the rear of it. So, like I say, the directions, you look at them, you kind of scratch your head a little bit there, but then if you'll just kind of take your time and get your ruler out and play with it a little bit, it's not that big a deal. I would suggest, if you're just not real comfortable with it yet, just get you some paper, just a piece of legal size paper, or tape you a couple letter size pieces of paper together, and practice making your measurements. That way you can there's nothing like doing it twice, because you can always come back and you always learn from the first time. So that's my base here, and let's get this cut out here and go from there. Okay, now we're going to cut this out, cut my pit out here. Let me show you something else I did. Helped me out quite a bit. Here's your directions right here on one page. This is where it's all spelled out, and then here's the diagram on the back of that of what your base is supposed to look like. And it's fairly well self-explanatory once you read it. But what I did is I made a photocopy of the back. So now I've got the directions and the photocopy. I can put them side by side, and as I'm reading, I can kind of gauge it against what my drawing over here says, and that way I don't have to flip back and forth and back and forth. So that's just a little tip that'll help me out a little bit. Okay, what do I do with my knife here? I just had a knife here, and there it is. So get my ruler down there. And as usual, make sure you got a good sharp blade, because it sure will help. And then I just score it down the length of my ruler there. This is foam board too that I'm using, by the way. And there we're starting to get through it now. Okay, that'll give you some kind of idea about how we do that. Okay, we've got the first one cut there. Let's just pop it out there and see what this looks like. Got just a little bit there. We've got a cut here. Seems to be a little bit stubborn. See that, and my blade's getting dull on me. And there we have it, the first pit. So again, this will be the front of the building. And the front would run along the front of the building would run across this part, this between these two lines right here. This is 3 inches back. Is where your pit starts, and you'll have we've got steps to go down there. So that turned out pretty good. So let's get this other one cut out here. We'll get a tight shot of this last cut here. That way, when I cut my finger off, it'll be documented. So. Get that right there. I normally keep my work area a little bit cleaner than this, but I started this kind of in a hurry today, so which is something I don't like to do. And that cost me about these X-Acto knives. Well, it's a good way to lose a finger. Okay, we got that cut. Let's see what we got here. And generally, I'll just take once I've got the deep cut made, get my blade in there, and just kind of run it down. Do this kind of slow because I've already got the groove cut in there. So. We're getting there, and we're going to have it here in just a second. Get that punched through. The backside of this board's a little bit tough to cut. And there we go. I always tell when your blade is getting a little dull because on the back side it always leaves these sharp edges. So looks like we got her. Cleaned it out in there a little bit. Like I say, this is just foam board. I guess you could use just about anything you wanted to on this. I'm not sure how much of this pit you will be able to see from the outside unless you take the roof off of it. So I'm gonna make sure I get it good cleaned up and give me some good square edges in there so that it looks halfway decent. So okay, there we go. Well, there's our pit with a piece of track laid across it. That's sectional track, so it doesn't. It's not in there just exactly the way I want it to be. But that's the way it's going to look. One of the tracks will run. Let's see here, the front. Yeah, this track right here will run the length of the building, enter and exit, and then the bottom one here is just will shorten up and it will end right here. So you'll have that track up there that run. It's a through track, and then this one down here will end like this. So that's cutting the baseboard. We got her set up and ready to go now. Let's just get our paint dry and we can start doing some stuff. So let's go check on our paint.